Whole Lot of Wolves summer specials are brought to you by Esfuerzo Wines. Showcasing 3 generations of winemaking in every bottle, they have the perfect pairings for all of your summer beach days and barbecues. Head to esfuerzowines.com now and use the promo code VITOR, that's VITOR, to get a 30% discount on your order. And don't miss their one-pack wines, which proudly display their support of Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's esfuerzowines.com, promo code VITOR.
Welcome to our latest summer special of Whole Lot of Wolves. I am Paul Lappage hosting, and it is my absolute pleasure to be live and in person with the head of Global Football Development at Wolves, Mr. Joe Hunt. Joe, how's it going?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
So Joe, we're at Houston Wolves Soccer Club, suburb of Houston. Outside temperature feels like about 95. Definitely not in Kansas anymore, but it's certainly far away from Wolverhampton. Tell us about the trip so far.
Well, as you can see, I've got a nice shade of brown now from the coaching in the mornings, which said it was hot, really hot out there. But I think one credit to the players. I mean, I don't know how they do it half the time, running around in that heat. Obviously, it's different from home. You think we get good temperatures occasionally, but here it's non-stop. But I've got to give credit. It's not just the coaches, but the players as well. Very, very good.
How does a visit like this to a partner club dovetail with the rest of your roles and responsibilities at the club?
So I've been at Wolves now since July 19. And when I first came, it was just around the international side that we were looking at. The club wanted a bit of growth internationally, and obviously the football coaching element of it is always successful around the world. Other clubs do it, so kind of that's where the aim was. The starting point wasn't great because I think I was in post for 8 months and the pandemic hit, so international travel wasn't good at that point. But that kind of gave us a time to reset in terms of what we were looking to do when we came out of the pandemic. So my role now as head of global football development kind of split into 2 areas. So we've got a big domestic operation at home. So in Wolverhampton and surrounding areas, we do a lot of football coaching activities. So whether it's soccer schools during the holidays or even the weekend sessions, tournaments, play on the pitch activities. So I've now got a team back home of 6 full-timers, and then we've got about 30 casual members of staff as well that help on these activities. And our numbers just in the UK have jumped massively. We see probably 1,200 children a week on our activities. And again, various levels of ability from recreational all the way through to kind of development advanced level. And that's kind of then where we would work with our academy as well in terms of the recruitment side of it. And then the other side of it is obviously international, how we are today. So work with Houston Wolves has now been ongoing for a year. We've got other partners around the world too that we work with. So a lot of it is coaching. There's only so many coaching sessions you can do, but what we try to do is build it out slightly differently. So rather than just come in for 2 weeks like we are now, there's actually all year round contact with the guys at Houston Wolves. So that will include us coming here. Houston Wolves came to us in March. They came across for the Everton game, and when they were over, they were training at Compton. Lunches at Molyneux Stadium tour, etc., which was really, really good. And then we do a lot of online work with them as well. So we do some coach education. So we share our expertise from the club, right from a rec level all the way through to our academy.
So on the men's side, we've seen some changes with the hierarchy this summer, what Americans call the front office.
Yeah.
How does that trickle its way all the way down to you on the development side, or does it make that much of an impact?
It's not a major impact, but from my role, being a head of, obviously I do work with certain people in there. So people like Matt Jackson, who's obviously got a new role that covers the academy, the women's section. I think it was loans as well that Matt's doing as well. So I've worked with Matt for a couple of years now. Matt's great, really, really good, really supportive of what we do internationally. So it doesn't really change for me and my department on what we do. It's kind of still business as usual, but it's just, Matt's very supportive of what we do anyway.
Will that filter in on the Wolves women's side as well?
Wolves women, Yes and no, really. I mean, we don't have a great deal to do with the Wolves women in terms of any activities, apart from maybe what we do with the academy. If groups come over and it's kind of the female side, then obviously we work with Dan and his team in the Wolves women's section as well. But like all our work, domestically especially, if we see players at a certain level, then we'd always kind of signpost them to the relevant departments, so whether it's the boys' academy or the girls' academy, that might happen. And same internationally, I suppose, as well. Obviously, if there's players worldwide that we see that are good, we would always go back and feed it back to the guys at Wolves.
So, like any professional sport, there's a tiny percentage of these kids that actually go on and make it. What does Wolves do as a club and institution in terms of development away from the game, so if it ultimately doesn't turn into a career for them, they've got some basis in place for the rest of their life?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've been at Wolves since 2019, and when I first came in, I was really impressed by the setup and kind of what you're talking about there, because you're right, not all the players want to make it, but they're not going to. So the Wolves support network has always been good. And what I loved about Wolves when I first joined was the honesty, not just to the players, but to the parents as well. Right. So it's right from the start. If they sign players at under nines, they would talk to them about the journey, and obviously a small percentage are going to make it, but the fact is they've been chosen to come and represent Wolves in an academy, and they should just embrace the experience. When they get older, obviously it becomes harder, because when they get to like 16, they're looking at getting kind of contracts to kind of go into the 18s and maybe 21s, and then if they don't get in there, then what do they do then? So the player care support at Wolves is really good, really, really good. Lisa Hollis was heading it up, she's heading it up, and then you've got different people that would support on that. So whether it's finding a club locally in the UK, that they would help with that, but also educational. So in previous roles that I've done, we would always signpost out towards America as well, so they could come out and get scholarships in America, universities, things like that, and they can play football at a good level, but also continue their education. Really, really good. And I know Wolves have got a lot of strong contacts, not just in the US, but I think around the world where they could go. So it's a big part of the game, rather than just go, you're not playing with us anymore, you get rid of them. They would never do that. There's always that help that they would give them.
Can you name drop any recognisable names that have passed through one of your programmes, either at Wolves or elsewhere?
Yes, obviously. I've seen a few good players. At Wolves, obviously, our department really has only been going for 3 years as a football development department, so obviously it's in the early stages. But we've seen already players moving between us, the development centres, into the academy, because we see so many players. Obviously, there's some players that the scouts might not see, so the scouts kind of like what we do and come and look at our activities. In previous roles, I was at Aston Villa for a while as well, so when we did development centres and even work in the academy, I remember it was Jack Grealish when he was in the 12s, I think he was at one point, and so I was in and around that. And then we also had Jacob Ramsey that actually came into our development centre under 7s. And there was Cameron Archer in that group as well, so it was a really strong group, and that kind of progressed through. So it just shows, you know, doing the work recreational, because that's where all the players come from. At the end of the day, they've got to start somewhere. So it's making sure that we are putting on activities and we can see players. And it's not just about recruitment, you know, because there's only like a certain percentage that are ever going to get into an academy, but it's also about us providing good experiences for players. Good coaching, so even if they're at rec level, they can come to us and we coach them and we try and improve them as players.
What is it for those players that get to that certain level, but initially they don't make it, they get released, but drop down all the way back and come back around again? Like prime example, Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Even with the Wolves, like Max Kilman going back into non-league. Do you see like a particular trait or resourcefulness of, like, that they've obviously got it, but something didn't quite click, or is it just a late development?
I think it's exactly that. I think it's late development, and I mean that can happen at any time. We've seen it before where they might come in at under 9s in the academy system, and they might have a couple of seasons, then they might come out, but then give them a couple of years, they might have had a growth spurt. They might, they might get better, also and come back into the system. And obviously it happens at older, like you mentioned, that the players there, they go off. And credit to Wolves in terms of their scouting and how we've done things with people like Max Gilman, where they've gone and they've seen him at lower levels. And it's always worth doing that, isn't it? Because you never know what's going to happen. It's, I think sometimes it's quite easy to go and look at the main games, look at other academies, etc., etc. But it's kind of deep diving into maybe non-league when they're playing that sort of football, or even the younger ages. Where I am, like I know Central Warwickshire League in the UK, maybe they go and look at those leagues and see the players in there.
As we wrap up, Joe, what's your real aspirations in this role in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see what you're involved in developing and going forwards?
I mean, the support we've always had from the people at the club, Jeff right through, Russ Jones, who's one of the GMs of the club, so I report into, who are really supportive of what we do. And they see obviously the benefits to us in terms of the numbers we see, the people we see, and obviously we've talked a lot about recruitment, but that's not the main reason we do that. Obviously we've got a separate recruitment team whose job is to go out and do that. Ours is to give that experience back to people so they get that love for the game. And obviously we want people supporting Wolves. So whether it's locally, and as you know, in Wolverhampton, everyone supports Wolves. So kind of we go Wolverhampton, surrounding areas, till we go to places like Shrewsbury and Telford and places like that. And there's big support bases out there, but we also get supporters of other clubs coming on our activities, because we use good venues, got good coaches that work on them as well. But the growth internationally, as I said, we kind of got stuck during the pandemic, but now all of a sudden it's opened up. So the US is a big market for us. We're here at Houston this week. I've also got 2 lads that are out in North Carolina delivering out there, and then a couple of weeks ago I was in Phoenix. So in terms of the US alone, there's a lot going on. I've been to China. I was out in China last October doing some work there. Malaysia we've done. So it's big. And then the other one we've got, which is quite good in terms of players, we've got a partnership that hopefully is going to happen in Zimbabwe as well.
Oh, wow, okay.
So because of his impact in terms of what he's done at the club, all of a sudden they're quite keen on what we want to do. So it's good, what we want. We just want to do more. The more we can do, the better, and obviously get the Wolves brand out there as well as much as possible. But as I said, because we coach and we do football, a lot of people want to do that. And these guys here at Houston Wolves, that's what they're all about, isn't it, in terms of them being a soccer club. And this is our second visit here, so we've been partners with Houston for a year now, just over a year. So this time last year we was here, and as I said earlier, they came to us in March, and now we're back here for actually 2 weeks delivering. And as I said right at the beginning, the facility is amazing, the players, how they run around in that heat, I don't know, but they're really keen. And we've just finished off this week, so this is week 1. This morning we did some work, and I had a group of, I think, about 18 players, and they were good. They were really, really good, really keen, wanting to learn, enjoyed themselves, and we can't see them more, really.
Joe, it's been insightful. Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
No, my pleasure.
Continue to stay tuned to Whole Lot of Wolves this summer. These specials are brought to you thanks to our sponsor, Espresso Wines. We've got 2 more coming up before the season kicks off on match week 1 at home to Manchester City. So, as we always say, up the mighty Wolves.